Welcome to Oracle SQL and PLSQL session. Hello everyone. In our today's session, we are going to learn what is autonomous transaction. So what is autonomous transaction? First of all, what is transaction? So if you take this table, okay, so these statements, so whatever we are doing it here, okay, say for example, I have table customer, I will drop the table if I have the table customer, okay. Okay, so table customer is not available. So I'm just creating the table. So this is one particular transaction, right? Yes. After that, I'm going to insert one data into this table. I'm inserting it. I'm inserting it. See, each and everything is like a transaction. See, one insert, another one insert. So all these are transactions. So if you go and check this table, so yes, we have all the 4 records. If I'm going to commit, so then only the transaction will get committed to the database. The other members, say for an example, I did insert operations, but without committing it, I'm trying to close. So what will happen, right? So it will say you like, it will give the error like core has been modified. Do you want to do the changes? Yes, you have to do the commit or rollback. So we have to do, right? So that we have to do. See if you're doing it, see if you're I'm trying to close this entire, it will show you commit changes or rollback changes. It is asking, right? So why? Because previously I have closed this window only, but I'm closing entirely here. Then it is asking, do you want to commit or rollback? If you are not committing it, other members log into the database, they cannot able to see these differences, these data. Only table, customer ID, customer name. This alone will be available in the table. I have to commit it or I have to go for rollback. If I'm doing rollback, so all this transaction will be rolled back, right? It will be rolled back. Here it will be rolled back. If you go and check here, nothing will be there in the table. See, these are all called transactions, right? These are all called transactions. Yes. I'll go to the next scenario. The scenario we have already seen. Okay, we have already seen this. I'm going this. See, I will create. I have created the table, right? Already created the table. I'm just executing this insert statement with save point. See, you can create save point before or after insert statement. Anywhere you can create save point. I just created the save point after the insert statement. After inserting the record into the table, I just created a save point. So what is a save point? It's like a bookmark. So if you ask, do I need to create save point for each and every insert statement? No need. So it's based on the scenario. You can do the rollback or commit based on the save point. Okay. So you can have a number of transactions. Okay, a number of transactions. After that, you can have the save point and rollback. See, if I'm going to do a rollback here, rollback to B. If I'm going to execute, see here, before executing, I will show you how many records are there. 4 records are there in the table. Up to here, it is there. If I'm going to execute rollback to B, what will happen? If I'm going to execute rollback to B, how many records will be there in the table? Rollback up to B. It will be rolled back. It will be rolled back. So you'll be having 2 records alone. Correct? See, this concept we have already seen in our. I have to execute rollback to B. Then after that, if you see this, then you will have only 2 records. So we are rolling back. So this is called save point, right? Save point. Okay, but we are getting one requirement. Okay, one requirement. We are having lot of insert statement, update statement, and I want to make this statement alone should be committed or rolled back. Is it possible? This statement alone, remaining other statement should get the rollback or committed. Okay, this statement alone or this statement alone, a particular statement should get committed or rollback. Is it possible in this way? So you can use rollback or commit up to this point, up to A, then up to here it will be rolled back, right? All this will get rolled back. If you're making commit to B, then up to here it will be committed. So you cannot make this alone rollback or commit. See, if you want to make this alone separate transaction, okay, a separate transaction, we have to go for autonomous, Pragma autonomous transactions. What is it? See, if you are taking this commit and rollback database, okay, you are doing that insert, update, whatever the response you are doing it, yes, you can do. So if you want to make a set of transaction as child transaction, okay, child transaction. So this one will be executed separately, and whatever the transaction we are going to make it like a Pragma transaction. These two are ready blocks of code. If you want to make it, it will be transferred to the another block, okay, like child transactions. So it will be transferred to the child transactions. Then this transaction will be kept separately. This transaction will be kept separately. For an example, this alone you want to commit it. Yes, you can commit here. Or if you want to roll back this alone, other transaction you have to commit it. Yes, you can do other transaction committed and this alone rollback. So you have to make this transaction alone as a child transaction. Then you can go for Pragma autonomous transactions. Okay, so it will make this transactions as child transactions. Yes. If you see this, I will give you one example so that you can able to understand. Okay, this example one. So you see this, I'm just creating the table called customer. Okay, I'm just creating the table called customer. I will drop the table. First of all, I will drop the table called customer. Drop table name customer, and I will drop it. Then create table customer, just the customer ID one column. I'm just creating it. I'm just inserting the data into the table. So what is the data I'm inserting? I'm inserting the data 1000. Okay, one record will get inserted. Another one record will get inserted. How many records are there in the table? Customer table, two records are there. Okay, so if I'm going to do select star from the table, how many records will be there? Two records. If I'm going to execute this particular statement, this is something like looping statement. What is child transaction? That is what I told. If you want to make a transaction as child transaction, we have to make this transaction as Pragma autonomous transaction. That is called we are bringing the transaction as a child transaction. Okay, parent child, right? We are making the transaction as child. Okay, so if you see this, if I'm going to start begin and end, within the begin and end, I'm taking the for loop and for I in 1003. So I start, okay, you can put 1002. Okay, I'm starting from 1000, right? You can put 1002 here, 1002 to 10110. So I'm starting the loop. So it will start from here, this number 1002, and it will go for 1010. It will go into the loop, insert into the customer table values. Whatever the I we have, it will get inserted, end loop. And here I'm rolling back. What will happen? So if I'm doing rollback, how many records will be there in the table? Whether it will roll back only these transactions or nothing will be there in the table. I'll execute this. Okay, I'll execute this. PLSQL procedure successfully completed. If I'm going to execute this, how many records will be there in the table? Any idea? I did roll back here. It's a separate PLSQL code. So this is insert statement. This is separate PLSQL code. How many records will be there in the table? No records. You can see here, no records will be there. So why? Because it's a transaction, right? It's a transaction. You are applying the rollback statement. But for an example, you want to make this as a separate transaction, as a child transaction. I do not want to disturb the existing 1000 or 1001. I do not want to disturb this on this particular table. You want to bring this transaction as child transaction. Then you have to use Pragma autonomous transaction. This is called autonomous transaction. We are making the transaction as autonomous transaction. You can see here, what are we going to do? Two different scenarios. You can see this. Okay. And I'm going to execute. As of now, there is no data in the table, right? There's no the data in the table. I'm going to insert two records in the table, two records in the table, one row, and here I'm starting from here, right? Two. And declare Pragma autonomous transaction. Okay, begin for I. Okay, for I in 1002 to 2010. Then loop, insert into end loop. After doing that, whenever you are using Pragma autonomous transaction, okay, the declaration part, we have to use keyword called Pragma autonomous transaction. This is called keyword. If you use this keyword, then these transaction will be kept as a child transaction. Okay, it will not disturb the existing one. The existing one, we have already inserted two records, right? See, 1000 we have inserted, then 1001 we have inserted, and then remaining record we are making like a child transaction. So this is 1001, right? So this is 1001, and we're going to make this next transaction as child transactions. See, these transactions like 1002, 1002 to 1003, 1004. So this way we are going to make up to 1010, right? 1010. We are going to make. See, these transaction, we need to make it like a separate child transaction. So how can I make as a child transaction? We have to use the keyword called Pragma autonomous transaction. Whenever you are using Pragma autonomous transaction, either we have to commit or roll back. Okay, without this commit and rollback, this Pragma autonomous transaction will not be executed. It will not be compiled. So I'm going to do it. I'm just to execute this particular procedure. PLSQL procedure successfully completed. It has been completed. Now, if you check how many records will be there in the table, how many records will be there in the table? I just committed here. Any idea? Okay, so 1001. So this will be as child transaction I have executed. If you go and check here, all the 11 records will be there, right? Yes, 11 records will be there. 1001. But the thing is, we haven't committed these two transactions, right? We haven't committed. We just committed only this child transaction, correct? We just committed this child transaction alone, but we had to commit or roll back this parent transaction, right? We had to commit or roll back these two transactions. We haven't committed. If I'm going for rollback, if I'm going to roll back, will it roll back? After rolling back, how many records will be there in the table? I'm trying to roll back here. So if I'm trying to roll back, this will be committed automatic. Already we have committed, right? This has been already committed. But if I do roll back, whatever the transaction we have here, okay, this transaction will be rolled back. So if you see this, only this child transaction, whatever we did it, it will be available. Okay, go and check here. The 1000 and 1001 should not be available here. Got it? So that means we made these transaction as the child transaction. So how can I make the transaction as child? So we have to use the keyword called Pragma autonomous transaction. So how to make, so even if you want to do roll commit, yes, you have to do the commit here. Okay, so you have to do the commit here, it will be committed. Then, see, there is no point of committing now. Why? Because we already rolled back, right? So if you want to do any insert, update, or delete operations apart from this block, then it will be separated, make it like a main transaction. So that will be a main transaction. This will be a child transaction. If you want to make any transaction as child, you have to make the keyword called Pragma autonomous transaction. Are you clear? So what is that? Pragma autonomous transaction. If you see this, same thing I'm doing here. create table customer ID, number, create or replace. Okay. So I'll go here. The same thing I will explain one more time here. If you see this is another example. That's it. If you see this, I'm just, I will, okay. This is also customer ID, right? Okay. I will drop the table name, customer table. I will drop it, execute this alone. So I have dropped the table and I'm just creating the table here, customer table, and I'm making this create or replace procedure. So this time I'm creating a procedure here, procedure, procedure underscore autonomous transactions is within the is and begin, we have to use Pragma. You can go for declare, how we have defined previously. You can go for declare. So within the declare and begin, you can use Pragma autonomous, or if it is a procedure, yes, you can use this way. So inside the procedure also, if you are making any keyword Pragma autonomous transaction, then you have to use the commit or rollback. Okay, I'm doing it. See, Pragma autonomous transaction begin insert into customer values. So I'm just inserting one value. So after that, I'm just committing it. Okay, I'm just committing it. So I'm going to execute this. How many record will be there in the table? So nothing will be there in the table, right? See why? Because we have just compiled the procedure. If I'm going to execute the procedure, it will insert one record into the table, right? As you can see here, one record into the table. But we just committed. So that is what we have did it. We have committed. So it's a child transaction, right? It is a separate transaction we are making. Okay. So if you see this, this is different. Okay. So I'm just deleting the record from the table, right? I'm just deleting the record from the table. So what will happen? See, if you are selecting this table, yes, you'll be seeing one record, right? I will go and delete the records. Delete from customer. Okay, so I'm using this delete from customer. So what will happen here? One row deleted. Yes, it is a separate transaction after that I'm making. That is what I have deleted, right? Yes, what I will do, I will go for the another scenario. So this scenario I will go for, I will drop the table. I will recreate the table. So it's no need to drop and recreate, just I'm doing it. It is a child transaction. I'm creating it. Okay. So delete from customer. So there is no data in the table, right? There is no the data in the table, right? So I'm just making this execute customer. It will get loaded into the table. Okay. Execute one record should be executed now. It should be inserted now. Okay. I'm doing this. What will happen? Declare begin insert into table name. Insert into table name, customer values. I'm just inserting. Already one record is available. I'm just inserting one more. And one more time, I'm calling this procedure autonomous transaction. Okay, you assume that. This one I'm just calling. Then it will insert one more record here, right? One more record here. Say for an example, I will delete it. No issues. I will delete it. I'll show you. Nothing is there in the table. If I'm going to execute, how many records will be there in the table? So you'll have two records in the table, right? See why two records? We have already inserted one record. Inside this anonymous block, we are calling this procedure. This procedure will be called and here it will be executed. Okay, here it will be executed. Okay, so now I'm going for if you are doing rollback here or if you are doing rollback here. Okay, so I will do this delete statement, delete from table name. I will just commit it. Nothing there in the table. Okay, is Nothing is there in the table. So I'm doing rollback here. How many records are there in the table? No, right? So we have already compiled this one. We have already compiled. Okay. If you are going to call this autonomous transaction, we have here we are committing it. So one record should be there. But here we are doing the insert into, then we are doing the rollback. So whether two records will be there or one record alone will be there. If I'm going to execute this, before executing, I will show you nothing is there, right? But here I'm inserting the record. We are calling this procedure. Here also I'm inserting. Previously we did commit, but now we are doing the rollback. Whether two records will be rolled back or one record will be available. Okay, 10,000 will be there in the table. See now. Okay, not 10,000, it is 1 lakh, correct. So that is what we are making a transaction as child and parent. Now you are getting it. What is child and parent transaction, right? Okay. So if you want to make any transactions as a child transaction within the procedure or package or anywhere, if you are mentioning like Pragma autonomous transaction, then you have to you can make that transaction as this way. Okay, I'm going to execute this. It will be compiled, but here I'm going to execute it. Okay, you will get error. So why this error is happening? What is the issue here? Any idea? So active autonomous transaction detected and it should be rolled back, right? Either roll back or commit. See here, this one I used Pragma autonomous transaction, but I didn't commit or roll back, correct? So either I have to commit or roll back, right? So here I have to use commit or roll back. If you do commit or roll back, if you compile it, again, if you are calling this, then you will not get that error. Got it? If you are getting this type of error, ORA 06512, active autonomous transaction detected. So that means you are using Pragma autonomous transaction. You are making this transaction as child transaction, but you are not committing or rollbacking that transaction, and you are using that, then you will get this particular error. So active autonomous transactions are explicitly committed or rolled back. So remember, whenever you are using Pragma autonomous transaction, yes, you have to actively, explicitly, you have to commit or roll back. I hope you are clear what is autonomous transaction. So I will go to the next concept. See, try to do this. Insert into table test. Insert into 1 and 2 I have inserted. Okay. Here I'm doing the Pragma autonomous transaction begin. Insert into this one. So whenever you are doing it, you have to do the commit or rollback, right? Yes, I'm just doing the commit. Then insert into. How many records will be there in the table after this? Which record will be there in the table? Now you can answer. Look at this. You tell me the correct answer. Okay. So here I'm doing rolling back. Here I'm doing the commit. Okay, this one we will do first. Drop table name test, right? There is no table. So I will execute all this. One row inserted. And if you see this table, select star from test table. I'm just executing it. Then 1, 2 we have, right? Then I'm doing this Pragma autonomous transaction. I'm doing the commit and I did one insert statement. If I go and check here, there will be 3 records here, right? 3 records, but I'm doing the rollback. If I do rollback, only one record will be there, 3 and 4. Okay. So you have answered correctly. Okay. So here I'm doing the rollback. So here I'm doing the commit. Okay, how many records will be there in the table? Truncate table test. I'm doing the truncate table test. Insert into table name. One record I'm inserting, and I'm making this transaction as child transaction and inserting one more record. And here I am checking it, how many records will be there. So you have two records. And again, I'm going to, so here if I commit, yes, you'll have two records, 1, 2, 5, 6. Clear. So I hope you are clear what is autonomous transaction, right? Yes. The same concept you will see in our triggers also. So triggers, we have one concept called mutating error. So what is mutating error? That while checking, we have to make that transaction as child, so then it will not get impacted.